So my mom had three daughters, right? I'm the middle child. My older sister is only 1 year older than me. I went grocery shopping and I just left stuff there. And I'm waiting for my baby girl to get up from her nap so I can pick her up and take her back home. Anyways, so we have an older sister. She's let's see, I'll be 33 this year, so that means she's 34 this year. And then we have a younger sister. She's 5 years younger than me, and she is 27 this year, I think. 26, 27. Okay, so our older sister has always been a lot wiser than... I feel like I was always like the crazy one growing up. The one that was like fun to be around, the life of the party, the one that broke the ice, the funny one. And I feel like our younger sister was kind of like the quiet, responsible one. And then our older sister kind of had a rough patch ever since she hit puberty. Ever since she hit 14, she just kind of like she was very rebellious. My mom, if you ask her growing up, I was like quiet and calm. Not quiet, just calmer than our older sister. And then our little sister was raised by our grandmother. So, and up until she turned 14, then she moved in with our mom. But by then we were already out the house and had kids and were married. My point here. And so, yeah, so I have 4 kids. I'm 33 this year, but I'm still 32 because I'm turning 33 in December. I just recently got married, not to the father of my kids, but to this guy that I've known. We went to the same high school. We didn't cross paths. We were not friends. We knew the same people, but we just never talked. And then, okay, so I just married in January, right? Our older sister recently got divorced, and that guy that she was married to, she had her 4th baby with, and that guy was like so obsessed with her that he married her after 2 months of dating, and then right away they had a baby, and then it was very toxic, and so they just recently got divorced this year, and now the baby girl is gonna be 4 this year. So yeah, after 4 years of trying to make it work, they just decided to split up. And then my sister meets a new guy, and so this guy, they start dating, and within a month they get pregnant. What I think happened is that my sister thought that it was gonna be like the last guy that was all in love with her and ready to go all head first into the relationship with no regrets, no reservations, no doubts. Because he loved her so much. I feel like she had the same expectation for this guy. Now she's about to have her 5th baby. This will be 4 girls and 1 boy. And so we went over there we went to her house in February, so last month, and we didn't see the guy anywhere. She didn't tell us. So until I asked, I'm looking around, we're in her apartment, we're like, hey, so when's your husband getting home? She was like, oh no, he's not here, he moved to Mexico. So we're like, what? You're pregnant and you're like 7 months along. What do you mean he left? Yeah, well, like things didn't work out, and he's just crazy like that. He just decided to leave and be with his baby mama and 4 kids in Mexico. So anyways, we met the guy when she was about 4 or 5 months along the pregnancy. And they're just casually on my sister's couch, because we were over at our little sister's house, and I hadn't spoken to my older sister since like 2 years ago. She pops out of nowhere for other reasons. She pops out of nowhere and she's like, oh yeah, well, I'm pregnant. It's a girl and my due date is in May, early May. And I'm like, well, are you guys gonna get married? And they were both sitting on the couch. And the guy very like nonchalant says, yeah, we'll get married. But then I looked and I said, that's a red flag. because that's what happened with my daughter's dad. My daughter is 2 years old, same situation. He just wanted to have a baby. His biological clock was ticking, his internal clock was ticking, as they say. And so he wasn't looking for any type of commitment. He was just looking to be a father because he felt like he was already 26. He's like, I should have been a dad at 25. Let's have a kid. And so me, very naive, because I had such a good experience with my first husband. We had 3 boys. We raised 3 boys. We're still raising those 3 boys. Our oldest is 14. But that experience was great. He wanted marriage. He married me right away. We stayed together for 7 years. But because I feel that because we were so young, it just didn't work out. And so we tried everything. We tried counseling, yada, yada, yada. We're good friends today, but when we were 19 and 21, it was just a disaster for other reasons that I'll get into later. So I recognized that red flag in her man because he was like, I'm like, how are you going to knock somebody up? But before deciding to have a whole child, sitting down and really, I guess, identifying, can I make this work with this person? Now that it was just not like her to know that she just let somebody get her pregnant without no real commitment, nothing on paper saying, I'm your wife, you're my husband, we are making this conscious decision to raise a family together. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, this is not like her, because she's the oldest one out of us 3 girls, and she's always been the one to tell me advice like, oh, that might is when you meet someone, because I was single for a good while before I got remarried. I think I was single for 7 years. And I mean, I dated, but it took me a lot to realize what I wanted in a man. And before meeting my husband, I realized I don't know how to pick good men. I just don't know how to do it. I knew what I was looking for. And so my husband was just like checking all the boxes, and he right off the bat told me he wanted marriage anyway. And like while I was dating and single, our older sister was married at the time, and she was like telling me, this is what you need to look for, this is how it's gonna look. And so she was married at the time, so I was like, yeah, maybe she knows what she's talking about. So a lot of the advice that she would give me is stuck with me. Now roles were flipped. I'm married now, she's divorced, and she's pregnant without being married. So I'm like, is it because we get such a good experience from certain things that from previous relationships, like, yeah, we married a good dad, we married a good man, a man that wanted to be involved in our kids' lives, and then for whatever reason it ends, and then we get involved with another person, and we're like, oh yeah, sure, I'm sure that you'll want to marry me too, just like my other one. And so what I'm thinking is maybe like having a very bad experience with your child's father really impacts you wanting to do it again with another person. So that's why we see a lot of girls out here being very careful. Although I am married now, my husband and I decided that we're going to wait at least 2 years before we try for our own child. And I'm happy about that, because there's no way I'm going to have a man's baby without being married to him, because it happened to me with my baby girl, and it happened to me with my boys. But with my baby girl, it happened to me. It's real. And so now I'm precautious. And now that it happened to our older sister, it breaks her heart to know that she's now having to do this on her own. She just got hired at a job, but she's like trying to raise money to have enough money for when this baby's born in about 4 weeks or so, that she can sustain her other 4 kids, and she can be without working for 6 weeks and then having to find a babysitter for this newborn baby so she can go back to work and keep providing for her kids. It breaks my heart, but it's like, what happens in our heads that after being with a narcissistic man will impact our ability to make good choices? I believe that after long-term, that it has its long-term effects. Being in an abusive relationship, being with somebody that's manipulative, being somebody that has narcissistical traits, not necessarily being medically diagnosed by a doctor and like, no, none of that. But they meet, they check all the boxes, and then we're there for however long we decide to stay there until we muster up the courage to leave the abusive person. I believe that it does something to our brains, chemically wise, that you are not yourself anymore. You are not who people know you to be. You're acting in ways that are reckless, and just it takes a long time to heal from an abusive relationship. How many people do you not know are in abusive relationships and struggling to get out of them, or struggling even after they left to heal and to find their worth again? So that's just in my mind, how after going through something so traumatic, it makes us act in ways that are not like us, because it's not really us. Remember that verse in the Bible that says, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and higher powers in this earth." And that's what I have to remind myself, because I have to remember it's not them. It's not my child rebelling against me. It's the spirit of rebellion, maybe. Maybe it's the type of music that I've allowed them to listen to. Maybe it's what they've been getting into social media. Maybe an angry person at work is not really angry at me, but it's maybe a higher power. And that's when I have to remember to be gracious and compassionate.